Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe I misunderstood what I was saying because I could tell by your answer. I'm not saying that the 7:15 hour job is bad, but when you want somebody to change their life, you have to give them a reason to change their life. 7:15, you can't tell somebody who just came home from a kingpin charge that, yo, just get to 7:15 until you can.
Give them a reason, or they have to get it for themselves.
No, you they have to get it for yourself. Yeah. You have to want it for you first. But my whole thing is, when you're dealing with people, you have to deal with them on each level. Like me, I go to reach the youth before they go to jail. But like I said, I gotta look at it as a fear. I have to come at them with a trade. I come at them with this. If you leave the street alone, you can make this. And the key to anything in life is longevity. And the key here is longevity and making money you can live. And they want to know a reason. Why should I stop? I don't want nobody to come home.
What do you say to that? Somebody goes, why should I stop? I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning instead of getting home at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I think me personally.
This is Jarrell now.
Yeah, this is Jarrell. I say to the kids that the reason that they should stop and probably consider another move, because it's about sacrifice. At the end of the day, it's like, you may sacrifice and do the 7:15 or 7:25 an hour job so you can stay out here and be with your family and raise your kids and, you know, and do what you have to do as a man or a woman. So, you know, I think that's what's most important is that sacrifice. And at the end of the day, this is what we got to kind of focus on is that vision, you know what I mean? And knowing that we have to sacrifice certain things. We may be used to a particular standard of living, but we may have to sacrifice some things in order to keep our eyes on the prize and the big picture. And this is why I'm here, like, really chopping it up with brothers like Ryan. He's out here, he's positive, progressive. You know, he's teaching financial literacy, things of this nature. He's trying to help me. You know, I just came home in May, trying to find a job. It's rough. I came home in the middle of a recession. So that's like
after being away for a long time.
Yeah, so that like really compounds the whole situation. So it's just like rough. But in regard to that particular subject, I think it's about sacrifice, you know. And me personally, like, this is why, like, this is fairly new to me, like dealing with brothers like Ryan, who's into, you know, his business and also rebuild. This is fairly new to me, so I'm like kind of stepping outside of my comfort zone. Because I'm ready to change and I need to change and I want to change. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they make me feel comfortable because they're real brothers. They address me like how the brother was saying as a man, and it's no like I'm in a better space than you, so you know, I'm able to, or I should look down, you know, at you or a particular way, because, you know, it's about opportunities given, and, you know, that's basically my take on that.
And I gotta say, what he said was right on point, because it's never a lack of funding that's the problem. It's always the lack of vision that's the problem.
Really?
And sometimes,
a lot of people, or do people just use the lack of money as an excuse?
The lack of money is never an excuse. But if you have the vision, you can. If you have the vision and the will to pursue that vision. Now, sometimes you might need something. It might take something to be able to get that vision instilled inside of you. But then with that proper vision and the diligence to pursue that vision, the funding's going to come. The money's going to come. You don't got to worry about that.
Let me ask you that, but Jarrell, let's get back to your case, because, I mean, you've only been home since May. You did 9.5 years for manslaughter. I would think that makes any employer a little bit nervous, just to keep it really real.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it does.
So how have you been like maintaining, like, how have you been living? How have you been supporting yourself?
Well, actually, fortunately for me, I have a good support base and a good foundation, people that, you know, good friends that are in a good space. They love me and they don't really want to see me get so frustrated that I like just feel like my only option is like to return back to the streets and things of that nature. So, you know, basically they've been able to help me, you know, just with the basic necessities and try to stay afloat so I don't get too frustrated. But I'm fortunate, you know, because there's other brothers that really don't have that support base. They really don't have that. And one thing for me, even though I'm trying to stay steadfast and focused, but I don't knock the other person if they decide they're going to go out and do whatever, because I know the struggles. Like, I don't have kids, but personally, it's brothers that come home to a situation where they have mouths to feed. You see? So it's not really my place to feel like, you know, to be judgmental or whatever. But
how do you maintain, like, how are you keeping your hope alive?
Actually, for me personally, I don't have a steady employment right now, but I've been able to do a little personal training on the side to help me stay afloat and with my family and friends. And I'm slated to begin school any day, so that's going to help. I've just been introduced to the rebuild situation. I'm about to holler at the brother, try to get down with him. You know what I mean? Because
2 weeks on the bus, and you better be there at 6:30.
I'm there.
And I got a feeling when you get on that, but when you get in that van, you can't just kind of like lay back and just relax. I think
the numbers don't lie though. The numbers don't lie. And from what I hear, the numbers are excellent over there. So I'm trying to get on board and be a part of that.
Let me say this. I want to speak to what Carl Reef said about the 715. Carl Reef didn't accept the 715 job, but he accepted volunteering for about 2 months when he wasn't getting paid for free. And I want to say that about what Ryan said about money.
Now you got me real. Wait, to grab that, I'm grabbing that microphone for you. Now you got me really confused. You wouldn't take a job. I'm just asking.
I got you.
You wouldn't take a job for $7.15, but you end up volunteering for 2 months for free. That doesn't make sense to me.
I get paid $32 an hour now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got
you got to school us on this because this is.
What Jarrell said too is sacrifice.
Yeah, and sacrifice. Exactly. I could agree with the sacrifice, but it's all about this. It's what you believe in, and before you could do anything, it has to. Before even as an action, is a thought or a belief or something like he said, a vision. And when I got around with people that I could relate to who've been through the struggles, they gave me something that I could believe in and that I didn't mind volunteering. So it wasn't nothing for me to give him that extra time. I volunteer for everything. He has to tell me not to volunteer because I will make a way that I'm going to go there. I'm supposed to been at work today. I volunteer to come here because this is something I believe in. I believe in what we're doing and I see the difference we making. Right now, we have better statistics than any state or city funded thing. We on our own. This is something we do on our own. We invest, each one of us invest 10% of our own income back into it to help the next person. This is how real and much we believe in that rebuild. We serious about it. We help ourselves. We not begging for nothing, I
think rebuilds a whole.
I'm glad he said that because rebuild don't get any city, state, or federal fund. This is done by the people who come in the organization and say we want to make a difference, and we do it. And he said it. Well, I'm gonna say it again. We do it better in any city, state, or federal program or any program that they fund. Why? Because we the people who live the problem. We are better set and better ready to cope with the problem than anybody.
All right, and you're listening to Hot 97 Street Soldiers. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. What we're talking about is the issue of recidivism. How do you find a job after you've been to prison? When you come home, what do you do? Ryan Mack and his company, Optimum Capital Management, he's launched a program, a campaign called Optimum Fight Against Recidivism. They've just completed a month going through prisons, juvenile detention centers, all kinds of facilities throughout the state. And that's what we're talking about, what you can do, how you can turn this around into a more positive area. Now, Darnell, Canada, it seems also there's a component of what you do. In addition to this job thing, it also seems to me like you're redefining what a man is. Because like on the streets, there's a certain version of, oh yeah, that's what a man is. But it seems like you're redefining what a real man is.
Yeah, we get up and speak about things. For instance, they call this thing, I know a brother named Tony Herbert. And Tony's out there on the corner with us and other people all the time. When somebody's getting shot, we out there rallying and telling people to come out. And who's seen this and who's that? And a lot of brothers saying, oh, they building snitches. Listen, if I have a grandmother or somebody in the street and they can't defend themselves, and there's going to be somebody that's not involved in the process. Now, if I'm robbing somebody with somebody and I tell on him, they might could say that's snitching. But if we're not involved in the process, not involved in these crimes, it's not snitching. It's helping people who can't protect themselves to protect themselves. Yeah, we're redefining it. And what we're really doing is taking back to what reality is and telling people, deal with reality. Stop dealing with this fake stuff, this street stuff, this made up stuff that's not real, that's bringing us down.
The movie
we
stuff.
Want to deal with reality.
Amen.
Talk about our organization is really not an organization. It's a movement for black men to stand up and begin to be black men.